Hello everyone. Today we will be seeing about the unit 4, that is actuation system part 2. Half chapter I had completed in last class. So next part we will be seeing remaining half part of the chapter. Okay. So the contents are, we will be seeing here is electrical actuators, mechanical switches, solid state switches, drive systems, DC motors, AC motors, types of servo motors, hydraulic actuators, hydraulic valves, linear actuator, single rod, single acting cylinder, then pneumatic actuator, example of fluid control systems, and last one, basic form of a current to pressure converter. Okay. Then next we will be seeing first what is this actuator. So it is nothing but a mechanical device or a system which has motion or movement, which will be having any motion or movement, that is called as an actuator. So the next, system means what? A group of elements. Okay, a group of elements which is responsible directly or indirectly for the motion or movement, that is imparting motion or movement, is called as an actuation system. The next one, electrical actuator. So electrical actuator will be what? That is the actuator which will be receiving electrical energy for motion, okay, or movement, that is called as an electrical actuator. Okay, the next, electrical actuator systems include the following switching devices. Which are those? Those are, first one, mechanical switches, then second one, solenoids, then in mechanical switches, first one is solenoid, second one is relays, then second one, that is solid state switches. In that, first one is diodes, second one is thyristor, third one is transistors. Okay, so next one we will be seeing mechanical switches. Okay, you can see in the diagram that this table, first one is what? SPST. It is nothing but single pole single throw. You can see in the diagram, that is there is one single pole and one single pole, single pole single throw. Okay, throw means what? Which will be moving, and this throw will be what? Where it will be connected, and pole will be what? Which will be moving. Okay, you can see over here a simple on off switch. The two terminals are either connected together or disconnected from each other. An example is what? Light switch. So this single pole single throw will be an example for your light switch. The next one is SPDT. SPDT is what? Single pole double throw. Okay, so here single pole means this which will be moving, no, that is single. Why single? Because at the same time it will be moving. And throws are what? Connecting terminals, that side, that will be what? Only two are there. Okay, two contacts it will be connecting. So it is called as an single pole single throw. Okay, the next one you can see which it is. There is single pole center off. It is called single pole center off, switches with the stable off position in the center. It is okay. The next one is what? Double pole single throw. So here it will be what? There will be double pole and one single throw will be there. Okay, the diagram for single pole double throw, this it has changed. Okay, double pole double throw is up and single pole double throw is down. That one correction. Okay, we have to make it. Then next one, wait a second. So this single pole double throw, you can see only one pole is there, but throws are two, means it will contact two terminals are there for contacting purpose. You can see in the diagram L1 and L2, two contacts are there. So any one contact it will be contacting. So it is called a single pole double throw. The next one, double pole single throw. Double pole means what? Two contacts that will be moving, but only one throw is there. Means these two poles, they can contact this one throw. Okay, movement of the double pole will be there. The next one, double pole double throw. In double pole double throw, what it will be? There will be two poles will be there and two throws are there. Okay, the next one is what? Your double pole changeover or double pole center off it is. Okay, that both the things you can see in the diagram. The next one we will be seeing is the relays. So relays are what? they are nothing but they are electrically operated switches. Okay, so relays are nothing but they are electrically operated switches in which changing current in one electrical switch current on off in another circuit. So what will happen? In one circuit, the changing current, due to that changing current, there will be there can be on off in the another circuit. You can on off in the another circuit. Relays are often used in control systems. Okay, then next, the output from the controller is relatively small current and much larger current is needed to switch on or off the final connection element. Example, the current required by an electric heater in a temperature control system or a motor. Relays are used in power switches and electromechanical control elements. Okay, the next one is what? Solenoid. So solenoid is what? The diagram over here, there it is there. A solenoid consists of a coil and a movable iron core. So that is called as the armature. The movable iron core, movable armature core they have marked, no, that is nothing but a iron core. Okay, when the current passes through the coil gets energized, consequently the core moves the increasing flux linkage by closing the air gap between the cores. So what will happen when this coil is energized? That time this core, what it will get attracted. Okay, the spring, the gap between their air, it will get minimized and it will get attracted. Okay, excuse. So the movable core is what? Here the movable core is spring loaded to allow the core to retract when the current is switched off. So when the switch will be off, that time what will happen? The spring, it will let off the core to move back into its original position. So like that it will become off. Okay, the next one. So these solenoids, they will be inexpensive. Okay, solenoids can be used to provide electrical operated actuators. The next one we will be seeing is solid state switches. So solid state switches are nothing but different types of solid state switches are diode, transistor, thyristor, triac, bipolar transistor, MOSFET, etc. Okay, then next, first one we will be seeing diode. So diode is what? It is unidirectional uncontrolled switch used to rectify or permit current flow in one direction. Okay, so it is unidirectional, means what? Only in one direction the current will be flowing, in another direction the current will not flow. That is, during the forward bias the diode will work, during the reverse bias the diode will not work. So only during the positive high cycle you are getting the output, you can see in the waveform. Okay, the next one is what? Bipolar transistor. So here the transistor, they are manufactured in different shapes, but there are three heads. Okay, the three leads or legs we called: the base, then emitter and collector. So the base is what? Which is the lead responsible for activating the transistor. So base, what it will do? It will activate the transistor. Then the collector, which is a positive lead, and the emitter, what it will be? A negative. Okay, so transistor, so like that you can see the diagram over there. It is nothing but the transistor as a switch. Bipolar transistor switching is implemented by base current and high frequency of switching possible than the thyristor. The power handling capacity is less than that of a transistor. Okay, the circuit you can see over there is on off switching circuit. Okay, the next one we will be seeing about the that is thyristor. So thyristor is what? It is unidirectional control switch used to control the flow of current by controlling the gate. So using the gate we are controlling the flow of current over here. So what it will be? Linearly proportional power. Gate controls when current flows, commonly used in heating control and motor speed control. Triac is similar to thyristor and equivalent to a pair of thyristor connected in reverse parallel on the same chip. Okay, so you can see over there the diagram of the triac. So triac, there will be gate and there will be two terminals. So using the gate we are controlling what? Your flow of the current. Okay, then next one. So this thyristor, it is, as I told you, using the gate. Then triac, it is similar to thyristor and equivalent to a pair of thyristor connected in reverse parallel on the same chip. So here what it will be, your triac you can see over there, and this triac you can see in the diagram, it is two thyristors connected reverse in parallel. Okay, so like that it will be. Then next one is, you can see over here, is MOSFET. So here no current flows in the gate to exercise the control. The gate voltage is the controlling signal over here. Okay, so here no current will flow into the gate, but it is used to exercise the control. Means the gate voltage is the controlling signal. Only one signal if we give to that gate, then it will be started like that. Okay, here thus driver circuitry can be simplified. Here example, there will be no concern about the size of the current with MOSFET. Higher frequency switching is possible up to 1 megahertz level voltage. When MOSFET is turned on, current flows from source to drain. So when MOSFET will be on, that time how it will be flowing? From the source to the drain. Okay, so you can see in the diagram, the MOSFET source drain gate is there. So the current, how it will be flowing? From source to the drain. Okay, so N channel and P channel both MOSFETs are available. You can see the diagram. Okay, then here voltage is applied between gate source to turn on the MOSFET. MOSFET can be turned off by removing the gate voltage. So when you want to turn off the MOSFET, what you will do? You will remove the gate voltage. That is the signal what you are giving at the gate. Gate has full control over the control of the MOSFET. A level shifter buffer required to raise the voltage level at which the MOSFET starts to activate. Interfacing with the simpler than the transistor it is. Okay, then next one we will be seeing about the drive systems. Okay, so here drive systems, drive actuators are essentially electromechanical actuators. Okay, they are used to efficiently convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. So these drive systems, what they will be doing? They will be converting electrical energy into mechanical energy. So magnetizing is the basic of the principle of the operation. So magnetizing, it is the basic principle over here. What they will be using? They will be using permanent magnets or electromagnets and exploit the electromagnetic phenomena in order to produce the actuation. So electromechanical actuators are DC, AC, servo and stepper motors. So types of electric motors we can see over there in the diagram. So first one is DC motors. In DC motors, what are there? Shunt motors, separately excited motors, series motors, compounded motors, permanent magnet, DC and servo. Okay, then next one, in AC motors it will be induction motor, synchronous motor. Then in other motors, what it will be? Stepper motor, brushless DC motor, hysteresis motor, reluctance motor and universal motor. So these are the types. Okay. First one, that is DC motors. In DC motors, what I told you, first one, shunt DC motor. So here what it will be? In shunt DC motor, the rotor and the stator windings are connected in parallel. So here what it will be? The rotor and stator windings are connected in parallel. That will be shunt DC motors. Then next one, separately excited motor. So here the rotor and stator are each connected from a different power supply. Okay. So here in the DC shunt motor, the rotor and stator windings are connected in parallel, but here they are separated and connected to different power supply. Okay. And then next one, series motor. The stator and rotor windings are connected in series, so they are called as series motor. Okay. Then next one, permanent magnet, PMDC, permanent magnet DC motor it is. The stator is permanent magnet, so the motor is in smaller in size. Okay. Disadvantage over here is only used for low torque application. Then next one, compounded motor. So here in compounded motor, the stator is connected to the rotor through a compound of shunt and series winding. Okay. If they are subtract from each other, then differently compounded motor results. Okay. So disadvantages of the DC motors, what are the disadvantages? You can see there is a brush wear, means since they need brushes, they will be friction will be there. So brushing wear will be there. Okay, wear and tear will be there. The next sparks. So there is a brush. So due to this friction, there can be a what, sparks that will contain explosive material. The next one, RF noise. So due to the brushes, that is friction, interface with nearby TV sets or electronic devices will be there. Okay. The next one, AC machines we will be seeing. So in AC machines, first one, induction motor. So they are called as induction motor because voltage is induced in the rotor. Okay, but for this to happen, the rotor must rotate at a lower speed than the magnetic field to allow. Okay, therefore a new term is needed to describe the induction motor, that is the slip. The next one is synchronous motor. So they are so called because rotor tries to line up with the rotating magnetic field in the stator. What it will do? The rotor, it will be lining up with the rotating magnetic field in the stator. It has a stator of an induction motor and the rotor of the DC motor. Okay. The next one is reluctance motor. A synchronous induction motor, the rotor has silent poles and a cage so that it starts like an induction motor and runs like a synchronous motor, it will do. Okay, because of that, what, it will be having a cage. Okay. The next one, hysteresis motor. Hysteresis produces the torque, can be very tiny, used as the driver for electric clocks. The next one is stepper motor. A special type of synchronous motor, rotates a number of degree with each electric pulse. Okay. The next one is brushless DC motor, a close cousin of permanent magnet stepper motor with electric controller settings. The next one is what, universal motor. If a series DC motor has a laminated stator frame, it can run effectively from an AC supply as well as DC. This is a universal motor. Okay. So why it is called as an universal? Because it can run from as AC supply as well as DC supply. We can use both the supplies to run it. Okay, that's why it is called universal motor. The next one is servo motor. The term servo or servo mechanism refers to the feedback control system in which the controlled variable is mechanical position or time derivation. Example, velocity and acceleration. So why this servo motor? Servo motor is nothing but it will be using the feedback system over here. Okay, feedback control system. That's why it is called as a servo motor. The next one, types of servo motors we will be seeing. So first one in that is, there are two types, DC servo motor and AC servo motor. So DC servo motor, a DC servo motor consists of a small DC motor, feedback potentiometer, gearbox, motor drive, electronic circuit and electronic feedback control loop. It is more or less similar to normal DC motor. Okay, so these motors are preferred for very high power. These motors may be of the following types. They can be series motor, then split series motor, then shunt control motors and permanent magnet shunt motors. Okay, the next one, AC servo motors. These motors are best suited for low power applications. Okay, so here precision servo motors are used in instrument servos, then computers, inertial guidance systems, etc. The mechanical output power of AC servo motor varies from 2 watts to few hundred watts it will be. Okay, so an AC servo motor is basically a two-phase induction motor. Okay, the next one we will be seeing about the hydraulic actuators. So here the hydraulic actuators, you can see the components of hydraulic actuators in the diagram. Okay, so here what all it will be there will be a pump that it will deliver high pressure fluid. Okay, then there will be a pressure regulator, it limits the pressure in the system. Then there will be what, valves, this controls flow rates and pressure. Okay, then there will be a distribution system. What it will do, it is composed of hoses or pipes, means it will distribute. Okay, means it will send the fluid in. Okay, the next one, infrastructure. It consists of an elements contained in the dashed box in the figure and is typically used to power many hydraulic valve, actuator and subsystems. Okay, the next one we will be seeing about hydraulic valves. Okay, so you can see in the diagram the construction and the symbol of the hydraulic valve. It is in a poppet valve. Simple disc, cones or ball are used in the conjunction with simple valve sets to control the flow. So what will be there? There will be a ball will be there to control the what simple valve seats to control the flow. Okay, figure shows you can see over there 2 by 2 normally closed valve, where the depression of the push button lifts the ball off its seat and allows fluid to flow from the port P to port A. Okay, so what will happen when there will be a depression? That time the ball, what it will do, this ball closed valve where the depression push button, it will lift the ball. Okay, lift the ball from its seat. So when it will lift means when it will go up, that time the liquid will flow from P to A. When the button is released, spring the fluid pressure force balls up again, closing the valve. So what will happen now? In this you can see over the diagram, when you push, that button is there on top. When you push the button, it will go down and the liquid will flow. When you will release the button, the ball will go up and it will close that A, near A it will go, so liquid will not flow. Okay, like that it will be working. The next one, linear actuators we will see. So linear actuators, in that single acting cylinder is there. Okay, so here a single acting cylinder is designed to apply force in only one direction. So single acting cylinder, what it will be, the force will be only in one direction. It consists of a piston inside a cylinder housing called a barrel. A is attached to one end of the position and it extends outside the barrel. At the other end is a port for entrance and exit of the oil. Okay, so whenever that rod will be there and piston is there, it will be moving in one direction. Okay, that in the schematic, that diagram you can see that rod, it will move in one direction. Okay, the next one, a single acting cylinder can exert a force only in extended direction. This cylinder do not retract hydraulically. Okay, retraction is accompanied by inclusion of compound spring or by using gravity. The next one we will be seeing the double acting cylinder. Okay, so a double acting cylinder is capable of delivering what? Force in both direction. So it will deliver the force what? In both the direction. Means in both the direction it will deliver the force. Okay, then most commonly it is in industrial hydraulics. The barrel is made of seamless steel tubing honed to a tine finish or surface. The piston, which is made of ductile iron, contains U-cap packings. The leakage between the piston and the barrel. The port are located in end cap, which are secured to the barrel by tie rods. Okay, as the fluid from the pump enters the cylinder through port 1, you can see in the diagram, through port 1 when it will be entering, that time the piston forward and fluid is returned to the reservoir from the cylinder through port 2. During the return stroke, the fluid is allowed to enter the cylinder through the fluid from the other side of the piston, goes back to the reservoir through the port 1. So like that it will be working. The next one is pneumatic actuators. So pneumatic actuators, what are those? These are nothing but pneumatic systems. They use pressured air over here. So pneumatic actuators, what they will use? They will be using air. Okay, that is, they will be use pressured air to transmit and control the power. So air is used as the fluid. Because why we are using here air? Because it is safe, it is less expensive, readily available, it can be inducted and exhausted directly to the atmosphere. Okay, then next one, what components of pneumatic systems? Okay, so what are the components of pneumatic systems? Here it has compressor, then air treatment unit, then next one reservoir, and last one control valve and actuator it will be having. Okay, so first one, compressor. So you can see in the diagram there is a compressor. Why it is used? It is used to provide pressured air. So it will make the pressured air. Okay, so here next one, air treatment unit. So here air treatment unit, after the inlet air is compressed, excess moisture and heat are removed from the air. So that is the air treatment unit. What it will do, it will remove the excess moisture and heat. The next one, reservoir. Okay, so unlike the hydraulic pumps which provide positive displacement of the fluid at high pressure or demand, compressor cannot provide high volume of air responsibly. Therefore a large volume of compressed air is stored in the reservoir or tank. So this reservoir, there will be one tank. In that tank compressed air will be what, stored. Okay, the next one is control valve and actuators. Okay, so here control valve and actuators act in much in the same way as the hydraulic system, but instead of returning fluid to the tank, what they will do, their air is simply returned to the atmosphere. So there what was feedback was there, means it was returned back to the tank, that oil, but here that the air, it will be returned to the atmosphere. Okay, it will not return back. The next one, we will be seeing about the example of fluid control system. So you can see in the diagram the features of a system of the control of a variable such as the level of a liquid in a container. Okay, here the output from the liquid level sensor after signal conditioning is transmitted to the current pressure converter. It is then converted into a gauge pressure, which is then actuates a pneumatic control valve, and so the control the rate at which liquid is allowed to flow into the container. Okay. So you can see here liquid level sensor is there, that it will be seen. Okay, so fluid control system, when it will be full, it will tell it is full and it will stop. When it will be less, it will tell it has to fill it, like that. Okay, the next one, basics form of current to pressure converter. Okay, that will be seen. The diagram you can see over there. In the diagram, the input current passes through the coils. Okay, that coil is there, it will be passes through the coil mounted on the core, which is towards the magnet. Okay, the extent of the attraction depends on the size of the current. So how much it will be attracting, that it will be depending upon the how much current they have been applied, because it is what the coil is there. The coil will produce the magnetic field, which will be depending upon the how much the current will be given to it. The movement of the core causes the movement of the flapper above the nozzle. So what will happen, the movement of the core, what it will be there, the core causes movement of the flapper. Flapper means what, this black one straight it is there, no, it will move. Flap means what, it will continuously move up and down, that one it is. Okay, the next, springs on the flapper are used to adjust the sensitivity of the converter. Okay, these are standard value at and are generally used in such systems. Okay, understood this, how it will be working. So here the flapper is there, then there will be gap, then supply pressure will be there. So this, how much it will be flapping, that much it will be giving the what, the pressure. Okay, the position of the flapper in relation to the nozzle determines the rate at which air can escape. So how much fast it will be, less air will escape. If the flapper movement is slow, then more air will be escaping from that gap. Okay, you can see in the diagram. So like that, this current to pressure converter will be working. Okay, by this we will be finishing this chapter 4. Thank you.